Hey everybody, welcome. How do I have to like maneuver around my desk? Welcome. How are you? This is a fun one. This is a fun one. I think it's fun anyway. I've been excited about this. I have been thinking about this for months. For months, I have been thinking about this. Shorty September. Shorty September. It's like I don't know why. I all the fall events are my favorite events. Like I even though I have not participated in all of them. I love Shorty September. I love the idea of Victober, although I haven't participated in the past. I am planning to this year. And then I love nonfiction November. It's just like I think it's just because I love the autumn so much, probably. But I do really love Shorty September. I don't typically read a lot of short books. I really prefer longer books. Um, so it's fun to make a stack of little books and think about. I don't really care about how many of them I read, but just that's like they just are books I don't pay attention to. So now I get to pay attention to them. So it's so great that Shorty September is back this year because Bart from Storytime had, I think, decided that he didn't want to do it anymore. But he was so kind to like hand the gauntlet to Heather, Too Many Heathers, who has also been kind of a co-host over the last couple of years, and also Karen at Roving Reader and Crystal at Fiber Artsy Reader are also co-hosting the event. There are prompts. There are there's I'll put a link into the prompts below. There's all kinds of stuff. There's a tag video. There's like they've put all kinds of fun things together for it, and I wish that I was a more together person so that I could be doing a lot more fun things like going through the prompts. I guess I'll try to match these books up with prompts, but I haven't done that. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to talk about my pile of possibilities, and then maybe I'll try to, as I read, I'll try to work out, as I start to pick out the books, I'll try to figure out what goes with what prompt. Um, this isn't even probably all the books that I have. I probably have a few more shorties on my shelf, and then I have some shorties on my Kindle, which I'm just not gonna talk about today. I'm just gonna talk about this physical stack that I've put together that I'm very excited about. So, yeah. So I guess without further ado, I will just go on and start blathering about my Shorty September TBR. Okay. So these aren't really an, excuse me. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's fine. I'm just talking too fast. I get very excited to talk to you. I don't know if you if you realize that. And I also get very nervous, which is probably why I can say stupid things sometimes. Anyway, these aren't in any particular order, except for this first book it's a definite because it goes for Shorty September, and it is also my pick for the Read Good Challenge this year, the 2025 Read Good Challenge, which is to read a book with a blue cover. And let me tell you that I have been looking for this book for 18 months. Yes, I could have just ordered it. I could have. But every time I go to the bookstore, I look for this book. And finally, like, I think it was back in June, I went out on one Sunday and I was like, I was determined to go book shopping and find some things. And I went to three bookstores, and I was like Goldilocks. It was the third bookstore I tried. I had all the books that I wanted. And I was so excited. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about all the books I bought that day, but two of them are in the stack. So, and the first one is this one. And this is Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au. And this is a mother and daughter travel from abroad to meet in Tokyo. They walk along the canals through the autumn evenings, escape the typhoon rains, share meals in small cafes and restaurants, and visit galleries to see some of the city's most radical modern art. All the while, they talk about the weather, horoscopes, clothes, and objects, about family, distance, and memory. But uncertainties abound. Who is really speaking here? Is it only the daughter? And what is the real reason behind this elliptical, perhaps even spectral journey? At once a careful reckoning and edgy, Cold enough for snow questions whether any of us speak a common language, which dimensions can contain love, and what claim we have to truly know another's inner world. I just think this sounds fantastic. And like I said, I've been looking for it for like 18 months. And it's a Fitzcarraldo edition. These things are so beautiful. Sometimes I think I just want to go out and buy Fitzcarraldo editions because they're so pretty. But of course, they are a worthy independent press. I'm really excited to read this one. So it's Shorty and also is my read good choice. The next book on my pile is one that I've heard of it. I've heard of it many, many times over many, many years. But I just have never got around to reading it. And I heard Kat at Diary of a Provincial Lady talking about this. This was one of her favorite books, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get that because it's fine for Shorty September. Now here's the irony: this book is like, it doesn't look like it'd be a shorty, right? And really, in reality, and this book is 265 pages, which technically doesn't count, except for, in reality, this book is more like 140 pages. Yours truly just ordered the, what is it called here? The super readable edition, and didn't notice that I had ordered this kind of edition. I just liked the cover and I just put it in my little basket. No, I did not order it from Amazon. I ordered it from bol.com, which is an Amazon, it's like the Amazon of the Netherlands, but in Belgium. And this is The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. I guess I might as well tell you what the book is, by Muriel Spark. And probably most of you have heard of this book. I can't think if I have read any Muriel Spark. I don't think that I have. And she had talked about how much she loved this book. And it's a book that's been like on my radar to read for a long time, especially because it's set in a school. And I love any book that's set in a school. And it says, at an Edinburgh school in the 1930s, glamorous, outspoken Miss Jean Brodie is quite certain of her role as teacher, to devote the wisdom of her prime years to 6 young girls, the creme de la creme, who will receive an education of the most unique kind. Known in school as the infamous Brodie set, the girls are soon entangled in their teacher's world of unconventional ideas and manipulative schemes, destined to live in Miss Brodie's shadow for the rest of their lives. I mean, come on. It sounds fantastic. I guess this would really be considered a modern classic. So it's really short, even though it doesn't look so short. And this cover is so cute. I love this cover. It's probably more lighthearted than the book is. But that's my second choice. My third choice is a memoir. It's actually nonfiction. It won the Pulitzer Prize. And this is Stay True by Hua Hsu. I think that's how you say it. This has been on my radar for a long time, but oh gosh, who did I see talking? I saw somebody talking about it recently, and I was like, oh gosh, that sounds so good. And then I looked it up, and then I saw that it would have fit for Shorty September, and I thought, well, that would be great, because I don't really have any nonfiction, or very little nonfiction on my list. So this is, I'll read to you what it says. When Hua Hsu first meets Ken in a Berkeley dorm room, he hates him. A frat boy with terrible taste in music, Ken seems exactly like everyone else. For Hua, who makes zines and haunts indie record shops, Ken represents all that he defines himself in opposition to, the mainstream. The only thing Hua, son of Taiwanese immigrants, and Ken, whose Japanese-American family has been in the U.S. for generations, have in common is that, however they engage with it, American culture doesn't seem to have a place for either of them. But despite his first impressions, Hua and Ken become friends, and a friendship built on late-night conversations over cigarettes, long drives along the California coast, and the successes and humiliations of everyday college life. And then violently, senselessly, Ken is gone, killed in a carjacking, not even 3 years after the day they first met. Capturing a coming of age cut short and a portrait of beautiful friendship, Stay True is a deeply moving and intimate memoir about growing up and moving through the world in search of meaning and belonging. I just think this sounds fantastic. And you know, what a wonderful tribute to friendship, and then also like perfect for back to school, right? For all of those people who are headed back to school or who are headed to college for the first time. This sounds really wonderful. So I will definitely be prioritizing this one, especially because it's one of the only nonfiction on here, but I'm very excited about reading this. The next one is Shirley Hazard, The Evening of the Holiday. This is a novella that I picked up. I bought this a while ago, and then I started reading it and then set it aside, not because of the book, but just because it was one of those, like, I think I was reading something else, and then I bought this and I kind of started skimming it. I picked this up because Lily King, who wrote Writers and Lovers and Euphoria, and who has a new book coming out, Heart the Lover, in September. I'm very excited about it. I listened to her and Ann Patchett have a conversation about this particular Shirley Hazard book, and also the main character in Writers and Lovers talks about this book, and she just says it's a major influence on her. And in my last video, I talked about, I find so many books through, just looking into the authors that I really enjoy reading. What do they read? What are their influences? What are they reading now? What do they recommend? Not what they're blurbing, because blurbing is different. Blurbing is business. But what do they really love? What do they return to? What are books that they read over and over again, or books that they recommend really from their heart to their friends, or that have influenced their writing? So I'm very excited to read this one. The only Shirley Hazard that I have read is The Transit of Venus, which absolutely floored me. I read it about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful book. So I'm very excited to read this one. Oh, and I guess I didn't tell you what it was about. Okay. Let's see. Passionate undercurrents sweep in and out of this eloquent novel about a love affair in a summer countryside in Italy and its inevitable end. Sophie, half English, half Italian, meets Tancredi, an Italian who is separated from his wife and family. In telling the story of their love affair, Shirley Hazard punctures the placid surface of polite Italian society to reveal the intense yearnings and surprising responses in sophisticated people caught up in emotions they do not always understand. So she just really writes beautifully, so I'm very excited to read that one. Okay, this next one has been on my shelf for a very long time. And I ordered this a long time ago how long? A long time. I ordered this from Meta World Books many years ago. And it's The Mezzanine by Nicholson Baker. And I'm trying to think if I think I've read maybe some short stories or essays. Yeah, stories by Nicholson Baker, yeah, in the New Yorker, but I don't think that I have actually read any of his fiction. But this, my understanding is that this is a meditation of a man at an office who is riding an escalator. He actually is bending down to tie his shoe, and he's riding an escalator, and this is sort of like the meditation on what he sees and the thoughts that go through his mind. So it sounds very intriguing, which is why I bought it, and it's been sitting on my shelf, so maybe we will give this one a go. The next book I have on my pile is we have gnats. I don't know where we've had the windows open. I swear it's not me. I feel like I'm a member of the Addams family. I've got like flies around me or something. I don't know. I'm not goth enough for that. But yeah, okay. Anyway, the next book on my pile was another book that I bought the same day I bought Too Cold for Snow, when I had gone out looking for books, and the first two bookstores I went to had none of the books that I wanted, and they had all the third bookstore, which was the had all the books that I wanted. Um, and I heard about this one from Sarah, Sarah Callspeak at Eyes on Indie. She talked about this book in a couple of different videos, and I think this is also a nominee for the Republic of Consciousness Prize in the UK. And this is The Seers by Suleiman Adonia, or Adonia. I'm not sure about the pronunciation there. And it just sounded so fantastic when she was talking about it, and she said that she really loved it. So I picked it up, and it says, The Seers follows the first years of a homeless Eritrean refugee in London. Set around a foster home in Kilburn and in the squares of Bloomsbury, where its protagonist Hannah sleeps, the novel grapples with how agency is given to the sexual lives of refugees, insisting that the erotic and intimate side of life is as much a part of someone's story as the land and nations are. Hannah arrives in London with her mother's diary, containing a disturbing sexual story taking place in Keren, Eritrea, where the Allies defeated the Italians in the Second World War. In a gripping continuous paragraph, The Seers moves between present day and the past to explore intergenerational histories and colonial trauma alongside the psychological and erotic lives of its characters as their identities are shaped but refuse to be suppressed by the bureaucratic processes of the UK asylum system. So the way Sarah described it, it just sounded like such an interesting and deep book, and a real close look at what it means to be a refugee and be in a country that is also sort of somewhat indifferent to you, and how to establish yourself and your life, and to be like a full person, and not to be seeing yourself or defining yourself then only as a refugee. So I think this will be really fantastic, and I have peeked at it. I read the first couple of pages, and it looks like the writing is also really terrific. So I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about all these books. Why do I say it every time? So I'm excited about this one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, well, you don't come here because I'm really serious, right? This is a New York Review of Books book that I've had on my shelf for a very long time. At one point, I had a subscription, and I got like a book every 2 months, I think it was. And this was one of the books that I got. I think I've talked about this in a past Shorty September stack. I think it was probably in there. And this is The Mad and the Bad by Jean-Patrick Manchette, with an introduction by James Salas. Yes, and it is translated from the French by Donald Nicholson Smith. And it says, let's see, Michael Hartog, a sometime architect, is a powerful businessman and famous philanthropist whose immense fortune has just grown that much greater following the death of his brother in an accident. Peter is his orphaned nephew, a spoiled brat. Julie is in an insane asylum. Thompson is a hired gunman with a serious ulcer. Michelle hires Julie to look after Peter, and he hires Thompson to kill them. Julie and Peter escape. Thompson pursues. Bullets fly. Bodies accumulate. The craziness is just getting started. So sounds a little wacky. Sounds like a little bit of twisty-turny murder mystery goodness, sort of. I don't know. Psychological thriller, maybe. I'm not sure. But sounds like it could be fun. So fun. Just bloody and fun. I mean, look, who doesn't love a bloody cover? Isn't that fun? Okay. Yeah, that's blood coming out of an elevator, in case you can't see. So, yeah, good times. All right. The next one is also a New York Review of Books book. And this was actually gifted to me by a friend of mine here in Amsterdam. She gave this to me for my birthday a couple of years ago, and I have not read it. She gave it to me, or maybe she gave it to me last year, actually. I think maybe she gave it to me last year, and I had it on my Shorty September list last year, and I did not get to it. But this year I am going to read it, and it is Amsterdam Stories by Nescio, I believe is how you say it. You would think I would try to know that, living here in the Netherlands. And it's translated from the Dutch by Damien Searles. And it says, no one has written more feelingly and more beautifully than Nessio about the madness and sadness, courage and vulnerability of youth, its big plans and vague longings, not to mention the binges, crashes, and marathon walks and talks. No one, for that matter, has written with such pristine clarity about the radiating canals of Amsterdam and the cloud-swept landscape of the Netherlands. And Nessio was a pen name for a man named J.H.F. Gronlo, and it is Latin for I don't know. But he was a highly successful director of the Holland Bombay Trading Company and a father of four. Oh, interesting. Only in his spare time and under the cover of a pseudonym, as if commemorating a lost self, did he let himself go, producing over the course of his lifetime a handful of utterly original stories that contain some of the most luminous pages in modern literature. And this is one of the first English translations of his stories, and you can see there's a picture, an old picture of the canals. I think these are at set like turn of the century. I think they're pre-war. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah. Or actually, I think maybe they were between the wars. Anyway, more on that because this is one that I'm also going to prioritize. So excited. Another one, another New York Review of Books book that I got as part of that subscription. This one is, I think these are two essays. And this is called The Professor and the Siren by Giuseppe Tomasi de Lampedusa. And it was translated by Stephen Twilly from the Italian. And yeah, it says, in the last 2 years of his life, the Sicilian aristocrat Giuseppe Tomasi de Lampedusa, my Italian's so good, wrote not only the internationally celebrated novel The Leopard, but also 3 shorter pieces of fiction. Oh, no, these are fiction, brought together here in a new translation. The Professor and the Siren, like The Leopard, meditates on the past and the passage of time, and also on the relationship between erotic love and learning. Professor La Curia is one of the world's most distinguished Hellenists. His knowledge, however, came at the cost of a loss that has haunted him for his entire life. This, Lampedusa's final masterpiece, is accompanied here by the parable Joy and the Law and The Blind Kittens, a story originally conceived as the first chapter of a follow-up to The Leopard. Well, I have not read The Leopard, and I have not read any de Lampedusa, so if that's how you say that. And so this will be, so I guess this is essentially 3 longer stories. So pretty cool. Excited about this one. Okay, I have another Shirley Hazard. Another Shirley Hazard. This is a book of short stories. This is Cliffs of Fall. And this was published, I think, in the 1970s or the early 1980s. And it says, let's see, Shirley Hazard's stories are sharp, sensitive portrayals of moments of crisis. Whether they are set in the Italian countryside or suburban Connecticut, the stories deal with real people and real problems. In the title piece, a young widow is surprised and ashamed by her lack of grief for her husband. In A Place in the Country, a young woman has a passionate, guilty affair with her cousin's husband. In Harold, a gawky, lonely young man finds acceptance and respect through his poetry. Moving and evocative, these 10 stories are written with subtlety, humor, and a keen understanding of the relationships between men and women. So I'll probably do one or the other of the Hazard, just depending on time. But yeah, I wanted to put this one on there as well. And then I have, let's see, this is, I believe you pronounce this Shion, The Blue Fox. I got this in a subscription box. I think it was a Powell's subscription box, and I don't remember what book it came with, but it was like, you know, you would get like a new release, and then they would also, the author of that book would then pick out some other little treats, and you'd get like a, you know, there was like a coffee mug or a pair of socks or you know, some notepads, and then there were usually one or two other little books in there. And this was one of the books that came with another book, and I cannot for the life of me remember, because it was probably like 11 or 12 years ago when I got this. And it's been on my shelf ever since. And let's see, it says, this is, doesn't say here who translated it. Let's see if it says it in here. Translated from the Icelandic by Victoria Cribb. Says, set against the stark backdrop of the Icelandic winter, an elusive, enigmatic fox leads a hunter on a transformative quest. At the edge of the hunter's territory, a naturalist struggles to build a life for his charge, a young woman with Down syndrome, whom he had rescued from a shipwreck years before. By the end of Sion's slender, spellbinding fable of a novel, none of their lives will be the same. Winner of the 2005 Nordic Council Literature Prize, the Nordic world's highest literary honor, The Blue Fox is part mystery, part fairy tale, and the perfect introduction to a mind-bending, world-class literary talent. This is kind of a blue cover, too. I could get 2 in for the Read Good Challenge. And for Shorty September, if I read this one. This one is intriguing because I don't typically read, you know, fairy tale, magical realism type of books. So it might be kind of fun to get at. And it looks like it's set in the late 19th century. So, yeah. And the last book on my list I picked up because I read her book, The Vegetarian, which you can see behind me. And this is Greek Lessons, another blue cover, technically, by Han Kang. And let's see, it says, from one of the finest writers on the international scene today comes this love letter to human intimacy and connection, the intertwined stories of 2 fugitive souls, one a woman who has lost the ability to speak, and the other her Greek teacher, a man on the edge of losing his sight. As the lonely teacher finds himself drawn to the silent woman, we discover a deeper pain that binds them, rooted in their families, their histories, their pasts. And as the novel unfolds, their stories begin to touch and their voices to intersect with startling beauty as they move from darkness to light and from silence to expression before merging in a profound sense of unity. So this sounds wonderful. And I was just blown away by Han Kang's writing in The Vegetarian. So I wanted to pick up another book of hers, and this happened to be the only one that I found. Again, I bought this the same day that I bought The Seers and Too Cold for Snow. This was the only other book of hers that was on the shelf anywhere besides The Vegetarian. So I know, you know, she's having a moment. A lot of people are reading her work right now. So I think this will be fun. And this was also translated by Deborah Smith and E. Yewan. Deborah Smith also translated the version that I have of The Vegetarian. I think that she has translated most of Kang's work into English. I think she was the first person to do so. She is from the UK. So, yeah. So, there it is. There's my Shorty September stack. Whew, well, we'll see what I get to, because I also am hoping to read some of the stories. Angelia at Read and Reread is doing her 30 and 30 again this year, where she reads 30 short stories in 30 days. So I'm hoping to squeeze in some of those. And then, I don't know, I may try to squeeze in something else as well, because I'm crazy. But maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I just finished the Robin Hobb book that I was reading, The Mad Ship, which is the second in a trilogy, and I'm really, really antsy and want to read the third book, which is, I believe, Ship of Destiny, and I'm so excited to read it. But I'm like, I was gonna wait until maybe December to read it, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait that long. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it. There's Shorty September. Do any of these sound intriguing to you? Have you read any of these? If so, please let me know in the comments below. And let me know what you're planning to read for Shorty September. If you're excited or you're planning to participate, I would love to hear. And yeah, the links again to some of the videos and to the prompts will be in the description box below. And I will look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you are doing well, and take care out there.